Oh, boys and girls, fucking another weather report for June 11th, 2021. God help me. What's up?
Nothing like the happy tone of this show to inspire people everywhere.
Yeah, what are we going to do? Save me. Somebody save me.
Oh, man, lots of Christians are going to be hopping in here trying to save you.
Oh shit. I didn't mean that.
He wants to be saved. He wants to be. I heard that Speed got saved yesterday. Pretty soon there's going to be answers in Anabaptism or something.
I mean, more like a GoFundMe kind of save me.
Oh, financially save me.
Oh, but actually, that is the Christian way, isn't it? The Christian way to save. Yeah. So, what's happening, everyone? We have a treat.
That's right. Nestle is here. That's a treat.
Nestle is here. So Nestle was having a talk with Otangawhat last night too, I think, right?
Not verbally. Also not last night. Just in today, I commented on the after show in the comment section, and Otangawhat replied to my comments, and we had a back and forth on that one.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. We have Jeremy Stoner. We have Nestle. Here we go. 14 replies. So you've been having
also a few others that commented, yeah. But most are from me and also from Otangawhat and one other person. But yeah.
So did you mention that the quote he came up with was not in the paper?
No. I ignored that first quote. I just focused on the quote that actually did come from the paper. But yeah.
Yeah, I really I don't understand why you did, because the quote that he read was not in the paper. And the reason that bothers me is that he did the same thing again. If you go to his cat's board, which we can show you,
yeah,
he took quotes from two different papers and he combined them as if they were one sentence. And he put it in his cat's board, and then he linked it under this paper. And the dead giveaway is the word epigenetics is not in the paper he was talking about. So. And I emailed him and gave him a chance to come in here and explain why he's doing that and how he's doing that. Because that is, now that gets a little borderline with just Otangawhat being wrong is one thing. But with Otangawhat blatantly lying, putting quotes together, chopping and pasting, no. You just don't do that when you cite a paper.
What do they call it when you misattribute or don't attribute properly? Plagiarism?
Fraud? Plagiarism, yeah. Yeah. I think it's plagiarism. Anyway, I was kind of interested in that, And this isn't the first time I've seen that, where when you go and try to find the quotes that are in his cat's board and you go down and look at the papers that he references, if you copy the entire quote, you will not get a hit. But if you copy just part of the quote, you'll get a hit. And then you'll get a hit from the second part of the sentence in the second paper. So there's like multiple papers that he combines together. And I think he probably thinks that he's paraphrasing in his defense to be charitable. He thinks he's paraphrasing, right?
No, I don't think that the defense will be reasonable, because he actually uses. It's weird because I will show it to you. Let's see here. Screen sharing, and right. There we go. I guess this is the part that is most relevant here. Okay. Oh, do I have my screen sharing?
Okay.
This is the part that's most relevant. The genome-wide analysis of a long-term evolution experiment. Drosophila. This is the paper that he cited during Dappers aftershow.
Right.
And the first sentence, which is in quotation marks, as you can see, here's a quotation mark, and the other end is also a quotation mark.
Oh.
Which to me it means, oh, this is an actual quote from the paper, but this sentence is not from the paper at all. And I'm trying to find where this sentence comes from, and it comes from nowhere, or at least I cannot find it. But yeah, it's really weird. But what's really weird is that this part that I'm highlighting now, this part here, this does come from the paper, but there are no quotation marks.
Okay, so what he's doing is he's presenting it badly. This is his comment. But then when he read it on Dapper Dino, he read it like it came out of the paper.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think I'm being very generous to him. I think he just fumbled with his copy pasting quotation marks and such, and now he mistakenly put the quotation marks on his own commentary and forget to add the quotation marks to the actual quote. But yeah.
Yeah, but then when he read it off, okay, let's go.
But when he read it off, he mistakenly, like his own error made him misquote the paper. But yeah,
I think actually that evolution has been falsified, and we see that.
No, I'm not going to let you finish that. It simply hasn't been.
Please
there is absolutely no published scientific papers.
I would like to know what is falsified evolution.
All right, fine. I guess
citation, please.
You know what? Hold on. I have an animation for citation needed. But if I don't get a citation for this, Otangelo, it's going to be a problem. You need to have a citation.
Well, I can give you citations, or I can give you, actually, rather than what creationists usually do, is giving arguments why evolution doesn't actually.
It's going to be a problem. You need to have a citation. Here we go.
Genome-wide analysis of a long-term evolution experiment with Drosophila, published in 2010, September 15. Do you want the link?
Yes, please.
Sure, Drosophila. So fruit flies to prove evolution. The easiest animal. Yeah,
I can actually quote you the relevant part, which, in my understanding, leads to that. Okay. Genomic changes caused by epigenetic mechanisms tend to fail to fixate in the population, which reverts back to its initial pattern.
We know that. That's understandable. That's epigenetics, though. What?
Okay, so he quoted his part, right?
Yeah,
as if he's quoting from the paper.
Yeah. Again, I'm being incredibly generous to him. I think like a few years ago. Like, how old is this blog post that he made? Like, I think a few years. Let's see here how. It's from 2017. All right, so from like 4 years ago almost. He copy pasted this quote, and he added the quotation marks on the wrong place. And now when he's rereading this from his own, he mistakenly thinks that this comes from the actual paper. But yeah, to me that is most reasonably explanation for his mistake, or thinking that this sentence comes from the paper. But yeah.
Okay, so not plagiarism, but just fuck
up in his own copy pasting of papers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Either way,
it's also weird. Like he has his blog post is just incredibly messy, but because you cannot, when you read the whole thing, you cannot distinguish his own commentary from what he actually copy pasted from the papers. Like he does not distinguish the difference between his own commentary and the things that comes from the papers themselves. So you cannot see which are which.
Yeah, and this cat's board thing is an absolute. It is an absolute perfect demonstration of cherry picking. And not only that, but
it's not even
what's going to happen.
It's not even cherry picking, because even his own can you screen share me again for a moment? Let's see here.
Even his own shit doesn't support him.
And this part here that actually does come from the paper. Even if you only look at this does not mean evolution is falsified.
Right.
Yeah, unless you tell him to show you the very paper that a quote is coming from and show us that what you're saying, that you're reading from, it matches what's on that paper, Otangawhat should not be given the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
He has demonstrated that he misreads papers. He mixes things together. He doesn't read from papers. He reads from his blog mash here. And he's just not a credible or a honest interlocutor anymore. You just can't consider that.
Can you play the rest, like at the moment when you rage quit? That's pretty good.
Here. And then I want to go back to Ahmed if he has anything, because he has been on the DL for a little while and want to make sure. Hold on, we want to get Otangawhat in first, and then we'll go to Ahmed.
All right. Okay.
No worries.
Okay. You claim that I have to show just in 2 minutes a paper which falsifies entirely the theory of evolution. Of course, that will not work.
You claimed you could.
That was your claim.
All right. Well, we're going to go on to Ahmed now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Finish, please?
No,
Can I
because you
finish,
just said
please?
that you couldn't do the
Bye,
thing you said
bye,
you could
guys.
do.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
Otangawhat.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, and by the way, this is why you get blocked by so many people.
And that was it.
It was really hilarious. Like a few minutes ago, he said, "Oh, I can provide a paper that falsifies evolution," and now he's saying, "Like, oh, are you really expecting me to provide one paper that falsifies evolution?" That is what you said previously.
Actually, that evolution has been falsified, and we see that.
No, I'm not going to let you finish that. It simply hasn't been.
Please
There
finish
is
that.
absolutely no published scientific papers.
I would like to know what is falsified evolution.
All right, fine. I guess
Citation, please.
You know what? Hold on. I have an animation for citation needed. But if I don't get a citation for this, Otangawhat, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. You need to have a citation.
Well, I can give you citations, or I can give you, actually, rather than what creationists usually do, is giving arguments why evolution doesn't actually explain biodiversity. I can give you an alternative, and in
that's
my
not your
view,
claim, though.
better. Okay,
Your claim is evolution has been falsified. Please show me the publication that falsified evolution.
Okay, I'll give you that. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I'll give you that, but then I will backpedal later.
Right. That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it happened again.
And what you accomplish by reading from Cat's board is some sort of plausible deniability for people who just don't look very hard. Because I post so many quotes in there, I just got them a little mixed up. I'm an honest interlocutor, but yeah, that part I was reading out loud was my stuff. But everybody makes mistakes, and that's not what's happening. What's happening is the casual disregard for any kind of intellectual honesty.
Yeah,
I would actually like to go back to some of the we already covered a few of his mistakes. Like he mistakenly quotes his own sentence as if it comes from the paper, and then he also backpedals from his original claim. But even if you look at the paper itself, just the paper itself, what does the paper actually say? It is about experimental evolution, and as the paper says, previous experimental evolution is about asexual population. And in asexual populations, adaptive evolution usually proceeds by the appearance of new mutations, which are fixated to 100% frequency in the population, like you have selective sweeps each time a new beneficial mutation appears in asexual populations. But in this particular paper, Genome-wide analysis of long-term evolution experiment with Drosophila, that paper is about sexual, of course, the fruit flies, which are sexually reproducing organisms. So in this sexually reproductive population, you have a lot of standing variation, and standing variation is just another term for pre-existing variation before the selective pressure. And what they show is that selection acts on this pre-existing variation, and in the way in which the selection proceeds means that sometimes selection does not necessarily end up in the fixation of the allele. So fixation is not necessarily reached, and that's it. Fixation is not necessarily reached. And of course, Otangawhat is thinking that, oh, if fixation is not the result, therefore evolution is falsified.
Right.
That is complete nonsense. Completely.
Yeah, and in later papers, they make the point that this is actually good for evolution because there's more variation available. That it actually supports evolution by that variation in the pool, and that it doesn't get swept out basically entirely as rapidly as they thought.
Actually, it depends on the how selection operates. Like for example, like in the typical like the asexual population, you have like one beneficial mutation, and it stays beneficial throughout the entire time, and then it becomes fixed. Every individual has the same mutation. It's fixed. But then in other cases, you have like what's called frequency-based selection, where the beneficial, like how beneficial a mutation or an allele is, depends on how frequent it is in the population. So sometimes you have an allele, it becomes less advantageous the more common it becomes. So eventually, and the more rare it is, the more beneficial it is. So for example, you have a beneficial mutation that is initially very rare. It is beneficial, then it becomes more common, but eventually it becomes so common that it's no longer beneficial anymore, and then it will go down and up and down and up. So you have like a balance. So in that instance, selection does not lead to fixation. If you also have another situation where the heterozygous phenotype or genotype is the most beneficial one, so in that instance, both alleles can
stabilizing selection.
They can both stay in the population for a very long time by selection alone. So selection does not lead to fixation always.
Yeah, that's called stabilizing selection. And that and many more little quirks in selection show you why natural selection is not a tautology. It's a very rich field with all sorts of accounting for counterfactuals or grounding of counterfactuals.
So even though Otangawhat hasn't explicitly stated this, but the only way it makes sense of him citing this paper as if it falsifies evolution is because he thinks that fixation must be the end result of evolution. If fixation is not the result, then evolution is falsified. But that is what he must think in order for his opinion to make sense, that this paper falsifies evolution. But of course, that opinion, that fixation must be necessarily the result, is of course just like wrong-headed nonsense. Yeah.
Well, if you believe something and you don't have the expertise to read and understand the entire paper, you're very likely to just find things that confirm your belief or sound like they confirm your belief, and then you put them in cat's board and you go on. You just move on.
So yeah,
pretty easy.
That's basically the gist of the paper. Of course, you can actually read the whole paper. It's actually very interesting to see because I did not know about the paper. It's very interesting results that they can show. They can show different loci that reached almost fixation, but not entirely, and some of them also stabilized at a certain level. Even, but yeah, it's a very interesting result to see how a sexual reproducing species respond to selective pressures.
Yep.
Yeah. It's of course the result is the alleles are influenced by selection. They did not reach fixation, but they still are influenced by selection. And Otangawhat is thinking this somehow disproves evolution. Completely opposite, of course. It's really stupid.
I want to play a short clip from this.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
Now, this is Kalalula. Who is Kalalula?
Kalalula?
Kalalula. What did Kalalula use? What did he used to be?
An atheist. That's Justin Downing from the Empathetic Atheist show.
Empathetic Atheist. Okay. Anyway, he said this last night.
John, have you ever heard of Dr. Graham Oppie before?
Yes.
Okay, so you do know that Graham Oppie actually believes and holds to the Kalam and also holds to the contingency argument?
Okay, citation.
Well, you know what he meant by that, correct?
What did he mean by that?
He meant that Graham Oppie believes both those arguments are valid, and both those arguments are in fact valid. Now, Graham Oppie has criticisms of them. He's not saying they're valid and sound, and we should believe in them. He's saying that Graham Oppie has said that these arguments are valid arguments, and they are valid arguments.
Yeah, John's poop argument is valid too. The one about poop and cotton candy or whatever that he came up with the other day that Immutable looked at.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, John on his community page had a argument that proved that life was immaterial, and it was the same thing. It was a valid argument. It consisted of 3 premises that basically end
Wait,
up.
you're talking about the semantic argument that he gave?
Yes, yeah, that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that was not a valid argument. It was a non sequitur.
it's a valid argument.
No, it wasn't. The
It was a
conclusion.
valid
No,
argument.
it wasn't. The conclusion did not follow from
Jesus
the premises.
Christ! Jesus
It was
Christ!
no, it was a non sequitur. That means the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises, which intrinsically means the argument is not valid.
You're wrong, Leo. Do you want
No,
to
I'm
just
not.
admit that you're wrong? And
I know I'm
we'll
not
do
wrong.
it later. Oh, you know you're not wrong.
Yes.
Okay, I should just boot you out.
Leo, the
because-
universe must have a beginning. Although if it's eternal, then we couldn't be here. We would still be eternally waiting for this moment.
What are we talking about?
Kan het de kalam cosmology gaan.
Oh.
It must have a beginning. Oh, damn it. I need to take this.
My bad.
So, Leo, that Rage's show last night was a shit show, huh? Holy shit.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I was watching, and then I actually, had to shut it off. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I went away, and then I checked back in again, listened for a little, and then I got out of control again. I'm like, this is, you can't even watch it. It's, it's too bad that it has to be that way or turn into that.
Yeah, brain bug jumped in, not into the stream, but into the side chat, and then jumped right back out.
Yeah, it's just, it's not entertaining. All you're doing is just listen. You can't even understand what people are saying. You're just screaming at each other, and it's stupid.
Who's eating potato chips in the mic?
Me.
Stop.
Leo, I'm eating potato chips too, and you can't even hear me. So,
Yeah.
oh, speaking of potato chips, Speed, you got to get some of these potato chips. They're called Summer BLT. You probably love them. That's what
Ooh,
I'm
bacon.
Yeah,
Bacon?
I thought of you. Yep, so they're Lay's potato chips, and they're called Summer BLT. I think they just, they're like a summer promotion thing. Try them out; they're really good.
Okay. Scott, can you add to our rules for the stream? You can't eat chips on stream. Rule number 5. Okay. So,
I didn't realize I was unmuted. I was looking for the mute button, but I was already unmuted.
oh, anyway, so this is John's argument right here. It's a perfectly valid logical argument. It's not sound. Well, that is sound because when we have P's and Q's, we don't worry about. We just assume that they're true.
This
right?
isn't the argument.
That is the argument.
No.
Immutable,
This-
and I did it.
Oh,
Immutable
there
and
is
I
the
went over and
Yeah,
did it.
there's the argument. Now we're looking at the argument. What you had before was just an argumentative structure. That is the actual argument.
That's the argument. Okay, if semantic meaning, okay, that's P, is
I know.
immaterial, and life requires semantics. That's Q. Then or no, wait a minute. What? How the hell did I do it? Okay, if P2 and P3, then Q. Okay, that's what he says. Then the cause of life is immaterial. Okay, so then he basically grants himself the first part of the conjunction, and then he grants himself the second part of the conjunction here, and then he said, and then by basically by conjunction. Okay, you take conjunction in with P2 and P3, and then you get your arrow out with.
You know, I've seen all of this, right? Like, I know exactly what you're explaining. I can explain why the argument isn't even valid.
Okay, why is this argument not valid?
Because the conclusion does not logically draw from the premises. When you look at the premises, you cannot infer deductively the conclusion. This is an invalid deductive syllogism.
Oh God, Leo, do we have to do this really? Just
if
go and
semantic meaning
read
is
some
immaterial
fucking
and life
logic.
requires
Okay.
semantics, then the cause of life is immaterial. No, that makes no sense.
Okay, I'm not going to
That
argue.
makes
I'm not
no
going to
sense.
argue with somebody who doesn't understand.
You can
that.
have semantic meaning inside of life, and we could grant that it's material. That doesn't mean that the cause of life has to be immaterial. That doesn't follow.
Do you know what a valid argument is?
Yes.
Okay, it's logically sound. The logical structure.
No, a valid and a sound argument are two different things. A valid argument is simply an argument. An argument is valid if and only if.
I'm not putting up with that. Go read a logic book. Hi guys. We're not going to argue about this, Leo. You're going to have to go read a logic book.
Well, then don't ask me questions, and then when I answer them, put me backstage.
Okay.
This argument is not valid. This is not a valid argument. It attempts to be a deductive. Now, if they...
I said we're not going to argue about this. Okay.
I'm not arguing. I'm explaining.
No, you're not going to explain anything when you got the.
So I'm not allowed to explain my position. I'm not allowed to explicate my position.
Do we want to do this live? Why don't we do this backstage after the show?
That's fair, right, Leo? I mean, that is fair. He's just asking you to drop it. That's all.
Just
Right?
drop it.
I mean, yeah, don't.
No, I mean,
Take
that's sure,
things,
but somebody gets to
you
make
know.
their point, but then when I go to make mine, oh, hey, no, let's drop this. No, let's drop this. Fine, sure, whatever.
I know, but you did make your point, though. I mean,
I did not
know
make my
exactly-
point at all. I haven't actually
Well-
explained why the argument is invalid. It's a non sequitur. The argument is a non sequitur.
Well, we just. I mean, you don't want to turn it into
Some
a.
property in an object being immaterial does not mean that the cause of the object must be immaterial. That does not logically follow. Thereby, it's a non sequitur. So the conclusion expressed in this argument cannot be deductively inferred. Well, you can't really use the word inferred. Cannot be deduced from the premises. So it doesn't follow. It's invalid.
Okay.
Now I'm done. Now we can
Let's-
move on, and we can go
Well,
into
I
it
wonder-
much more in depth later.
You know, it would be really nice if Andrew said he wanted to come in and talk about dark matter with you. Was Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean,
Did you see that? Did you see
Oh,
that in the
right.
I
comments?
don't think I saw that, but I just wanted to say quickly that I'm okay with that. But if Speed had anything that he wanted to talk about, we should probably go over that first.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we got nothing, yeah, Andrew.
The only
that invite-
other thing I noticed yesterday is this soteriology debate between Matt Powell and okay, I call that like double rainbow, double stink. Matt Powell and Smokey.
A
on
very
the same
stinky
stage.
rainbow.
A very stinky rainbow. But so, what the fuck is soteriology, and what were they talking about?
I actually don't know. I didn't watch it. I popped in for like
It was on Standing for
2
Truth.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? I don't know what soteriology is. Does anybody know?
It's the doctrine of salvation. How did Christ work to save you? There's also a doctrine of atonement, which is kind of part of all that, but soteriology has to do with how God saves us from hell or from.
Yeah, these Christians, they're still fighting over all that stuff quite a bit, huh? Just
Well,
Have been
I
for
could-
thousands of years.
I couldn't believe who was fighting. I mean, that was a fucking freaky thing. When I saw Matt Powell on Standing for Truth channel, is he starting to like rub elbows with this dude? I mean, this guy is creepy, right?
oh, Matt Powell.
Yeah.
You mean? Well, Standing has known him. I mean, I don't think he really you know, they know each other, and I think they've communicated a little bit, but it's not like he, you know, spends much time, you know, communicating, or I don't know how best to explain it, but you know, they know each other and whatever. But you know, Standing is not seeking him out. Standing is seeking out all his intellects, all his people with any type of degree, and you know what he does.
Wait a minute, you know what? Matt Paul?
Yeah. No, I think they I think Smokey, I don't know how that came about, but well, they've been arguing over that that one save always save crap. All the whole community, or this small section of it, they've been arguing over this for weeks now, at least 2, 3, 4 weeks now. So, and somehow they ended up, Smokey wanted to have a debate with somebody, and for some reason they chose Matt. I don't know why, but
yep.
So,
and then the other thing that happened is Michael J. Oard on Standing for Truth's channel did an evolutionary challenges answered, and he was going on about a bunch of flood geology, and he was talking about caves and how basically caves are kind of a problem for the 6,000-year-old Earth because some stalactites form very, very slowly. It takes them like 300,000 years, to get to any significant size. And he was going through all the reasons why that was not a problem. And he wrote an entire book where he picks all these geological problems that are really tough on creationists. And then he comes up with these elaborate stories about how it happened. And it was kind of cute, actually.
Was that the guy? Was that the meteorologist guy that you're talking about?
Yeah, he's a meteorologist.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're talking about that Mike Oard guy. Yeah, I commented on Standing's Strangling the Truth community post about that. He said, why are you bringing a meteorologist on to talk about evolutionary biology? And Redefined Reading tried to take a dig in on me and failed miserably.
This guy actually provided more science than some of the PhDs, though. I mean, he did provide, some stuff, which I thought was which surprised me, because I expected him to completely make a fool of himself like Dr. Cracker. But Dr. Crackers, you remember him?
Yeah.
Anyway, but actually, he had a whole bunch of stuff, and he wrote a book on this whole rock thing. And I think he calls it, what the fuck's he call his book? I wonder if Standing for Truth had the courtesy to link his book. What the hell is it? Michael J. Oard has an MS degree as a meteorologist. Okay, and he's got a book that has kind of a cool title. What the fuck? Shit.
That is really weird, though, huh? A guy with a meteorology degree writing a book on that. Like, what?
Yeah.
That makes no sense, really.
That's all over creationism. You got their physicists talking about biology, their biologists talking about psychology, their psychologists talking about fucking, archaeology. I mean, you got your geologists talking about physics. It's all over the fucking place.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they're all talking about theology, too, and it just becomes a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought he was actually more impressive than most of the PhD biologists that they've had on, which kind of surprised me. So, but he came up with a lot of stuff that needs addressing. What is this? The life? Okay, the Great Ice Age, the weather. He's got a book. Oh, shit.
Here's Stanley now. What do we got? Rock solid answers for my rock solid friend. Oh, yeah, okay.
The frozen record. He's got the weather.
Standing for poop.
Speed. I'm curious. Do we need to address the fact that they validated murder on Praise's channel?
Oh, where was that?
Oh boy!
I call him Top, the obnoxious preteen. What is his name?
Oh, Will.
Will.
Oh,
yeah,
the raccoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
He recently adopted the same views that Steve Anderson and Matt
Yeah.
Powell have, that we need to start killing gay people.
Yeah. Yeah, he says that a lot. He's been saying that. He's been saying that for a while.
You got a timestamp?
I have.
That kid's friggin' scary, man. To be that way at, I think he's 16 years old, I believe. I mean,
Okay, Michael J.
shit.
Oard's book is called Rock Solid Answers, which I thought was kind of a neat title. But anyway.
No, I closed the screen, so I don't have.
But of course, he was wrong about everything he said. And it was all sorts of just so stories trying to patch up the 6,000-year-old.
Speed. If Standing's in the side chat, he was part of that conversation, so maybe he can.
Yeah, Stanley, can you come in and tell us about murdering people?
Yeah, that's right. He was there. Yep.
How it's Christian to murder people?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think SFT's also an IFB. Not entirely sure, but
I think he is. Well, yeah,
I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why Stanley didn't say anything. Why wouldn't you disagree with that, Stanley, and say, you really shouldn't be saying those kind of things on live streams? You didn't seem to open your mouth, Stanley. How come?
Yeah, and Stanley, you had double stink on your stream last night for a debate. Double stink debating. I can't believe it. I can't believe you would stoop that low as to give these people
Standing for Truth, featuring Icky Taint and the Ginger Twink.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, so one thing we need to give, we need to mention him. Lil Peepee. Lil Peepee was also on that stream. And
was he on Praise?
No, we're on Praise's channel. And so he had the best description ever of what a gay person is. So I'm probably going to butcher this, but okay. So let's start. She's a gay stripper who uses a strap-on and sodomizes her girlfriend, and there were a few other things, but I forgot. I think John Maddox has too many weird fantasies, and he shouldn't be talking about fantasies in public live streams. Right. I'm just saying. I mean, I think Praise may have had an orgasm while John was describing this particular person that doesn't exist, but yeah, it was fun.
Where was this, in the after show, or?
Yeah, this was the Smokey versus Pat Towel after show.
Well, Lil Peepee couldn't have been there very long. I don't see him anywhere.
All right, now I'm back for good.
No, Lil Peepee came in as Praise's half a heretic with a different.
Oh God, these people.
I missed the entire conversation since the last 15 minutes, so I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Okay,
Leslie, quick question: Have you repented for what is happening in the UK right now? I have.
I always repent from the
Dutch Ark. The Dutch Ark is confiscated by the British government, and they now have to pay 750 euros a day for storage, which is funny. That's the same Ark that in 2018 broke loose on Urk in Holland and got $500,000 in damage. We need to have a chat with God.
So I just called out Stanley about not saying anything about what Will had said, and apparently I assume he's referring to this. He said I did, and then he also wrote I did disagree, which, okay, when I was watching it and when Will said that, I heard you laughing, Stanley. I never heard you disagree with it or say anything about it. So I'd have to go back and check on that. But from what I saw, I heard you laughing about it. So pretty disgusting.
Yeah. I don't know the context of that. What did he say? What did he claim? Standing. David?
Sorry,
What did Standing say?
Well, Will was calling for the execution of gays. Gay people is what he was calling. And, I was saying, well, why didn't Stanley say something? Why wouldn't he have, called him out and said, I disagree and you shouldn't be saying those kind of things online. And when I saw it, I could hear Stanley laughing, and I never heard him say he disagreed with it or call Will out or say anything. I mean, he's claiming right now that he did. He said, I did.
So maybe backstage, I didn't hear it either.
So basically Standing platformed somebody who promotes homicide.
Yeah. Along with the rest of the crew that was there. They all laughed when he said it. Nobody called him out on it. Nobody disagreed with him. Nobody said, hey, you shouldn't be saying those kind of things. Yeah.
They disagreed on some of the doctrine that Steve Anderson seems to have. Not that particular part.
Oh, hey, Creation Myths is in the live chat. Stan Cornell, right? This is his name. I've always forgotten his name. Yeah, Stan.
Creation Myths. Yeah. Hey, I just wondered, did anybody hear like a massive explosion in the last couple of days, like antimatter and matter, colliding together?
All the time.
Here we have Ken Ham and our own Erica Gutsick Gibbon face to face.
As long as they don't touch each other, they will be fine.
Okay, well, good.
Didn't Andrew Cumming come in for a while? Rosalind Pierce's?
He did just for a second or two. I saw him.
Well, he was supposed to talk to Leo about dark matter or something.
He wasn't here, and he's not anymore. I don't know what happened.
I guess it has to be the topic.
So dude, is Erica like 5'8", 5'9"? Is she taller than me? She looks tall.
When did this happen?
She tweeted it a day or two ago, and then I think Atheist Junior did some sort of Photoshop of it. But this is the original that she tweeted.
Yeah, but when was the picture? I mean, when was the picture taken? What was the context?
I think it says speaking live, so I don't know if it was a trip to the
museum. The museum, yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
He said to him, I think, I like your boat, but I disagree with you on evolution. But you can look up her Twitter. It's all in there. I just was hoping to make the picture look a little bigger, but it's not. But still, that was pretty cool. Just thought I'd share that with the group.
Yeah, I wonder how old that is. I can't imagine. It can't be too recent. Probably old. Only a couple days, really? Oh, okay.
Okay. I think Dan asked Standing a question regarding defending Carter, but Standing did not respond in the chat, so I don't know if he wants to respond.
He doesn't respond to Dan because he likes to mock him rather than answer his arguments.
Or maybe Standing has Dan blocked and he cannot see his comments. It's also a possibility. Yeah.
It's possible.
So Creation Myth is saying that that was at the Ark Park yesterday, according to
Pretty
chat.
Cool.
Yeah. So she must have taken a trip there yesterday. Well, I don't know why you go there. I guess it's just for entertainment, huh? You know what?
It's just like an anti-cultural landmark. You know, it's either a cultural landmark if you believe in that stuff, or it's like this anti-cultural oddity if you want to go up there. I guess it's like visiting. I can't think of an equivalent example of a museum of something.
Imagine Disneyland, but everyone believes Disney characters are real.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. Of course, a lot of the little kids just might believe it, when they go to Disneyland, but with this place, even grown-ups believe it.
Why spoil the fun for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun to go there, but you would hate to, it's quite a bit of money to get in there. You hate to give them that kind of money and support them. That's the only.
I would expect I think a lot of non-religious are just going there for the fun, and I would expect that some significant portion of their revenue comes from, or not maybe significant, but at least a portion comes from non-believers in the creationist thing. Yeah. I wonder. Do they keep statistics on that? Like how many non-believers go there just for the heck of it? I don't think they will actually ask.
Yeah, I doubt it, because they probably wouldn't want those results out there, probably, right? Yeah.
Well, if the results work in their favor.
I don't expect this to be true, but what if actually most of the guests are non-believers? That would be very funny to actually turn out to be true. I don't think it's the case. I think most are actually truly creative.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, they've been around for a while. It was probably a lot of non-believers went at first just for the, for the entertainment value of it. But I think now that they've been around for a while, it's probably gone way down as far as non-believers going there.
I remember a video of Ken Ham walking with Bill Nye in the Eternity Arc Tour, and you have Arnoa like on the sideline, like walking with them, and then for a split second, Ken Ham notices Arnoa, and he has like this instant fear, a look of fear in his eyes. It's really funny. You can see for a split second he notices Arnoa, and then and the other way. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew did say he's going to come back in, Leo, to discuss dark matter in a few minutes. He keeps saying that, but
are you discussing dark matter, Leo? With whom?
With Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that topic.
Andrew coming on his channel.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's going to come in here and talk. He wanted to come in
here. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is Andrew a? Is he like a creationist or a just a?
No, he's just a.
He's genuinely curious. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. He's a very smart young man.
Right.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent young man. He's got good head on his shoulders, and I think he's going to go far.
That's a very rare breed nowadays.
Still in high school, I believe, or just graduated, I think, right?
Right.
So.
And there's also like somebody else pointed out, like dark matter is not dark, and nor it's matter. It's like I don't know if the specific label is problematic.
Well, it is dark because we can't detect it other than through its gravitational effects, and it's most likely a form of matter, given that there are galaxies that have it and that there are galaxies that do not have it.
Okay, now you made a claim that you can't back up.
Yes, I can.
Nope.
Yep.
No, you can't.
Okay, what's the claim?
You say we can only detect it through gravity, so that means that you have no clue what color it is.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Because it could be light matter for all we know.
I don't know what that means.
Dark isn't a color; it's a absence of photons, basically.
Well, so you can have dark blue, dark brown, dark red. And
semantics.
Hey, I'm Dutch. Sue me.
So I just watched all right, so we'll start the conversation. Oh, Andrew's here. Never mind. If he wants to start.
What were you going to say? You saw, what was that?
I was just going to bring it up. I didn't realize Andrew was in the room, but I was just going to bring up. I actually watched a little short video this morning. They were talking about what are the new experiments they do. Well, they do a lot of experiments down in the Antarctic, right? And they got some experiments going that are detecting what are the particles that they look for? Are they muons?
Muons. M-U-O-N. Muon.
Is it the muons that they're? Yeah, is that the one that they're doing this? I don't know if they even mentioned it in this video, but it was probably that's what they were talking about. And they're the ones that don't really interact. They basically
either muons or neutrinos, one of the two.
Yeah, and they were talking about some certain particles that will pass right through the Earth. Some of them.
Yeah, that'd be neutrinos.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing. That's a new experiments they're doing now, right? NASA's a part of that, I think, right?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out things like neutrino oscillation.
Yeah.
Which is, what is it about neutrino oscillation? I think it violates some aspect of CPT symmetry or something like that.
Yeah.
Or supposedly does.
I don't know if you are familiar with Professor Sabine Holzenfelder.
Yes, I am.
A YouTuber.
Yep.
Like
I need to watch the recent debate she had with Luke Barnes. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it yesterday, but then I had to go do something. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, I need to watch that because she takes the position I do that the universe isn't finely tuned for anything. I don't think it makes sense to speak of the universe in terms of being fine tuned, but that's a completely different discussion.
Yeah, I was talking about like she made a video on dark matter, which I vaguely remember. But if I remember correctly, she talks about dark matter as having on different scales of the distance. Dark matter behaves differently, and basically she proposes the dark matter undergoes a phase transition that explains the different behavior of dark matter at different scales. I don't know if you know more about this.
No, not really. The literature I've read doesn't really speak much about dark matter in any other terms than it being a matter, at least not seriously, because most cosmologists would take that it is a form of matter just because of the observations that we have of how it behaves. And
well, if it is matter, it can maybe undergo a phase transition, like. Of course, other types.
Well,
of
yeah,
matter.
I mean, it could go from some type of solid to some type of liquid. Like it may very well undergo phase transitions.
Yeah.
So, have you read that Luke Barnes's book that he was showing off on that video?
No, I have not.
I'm just wondering if it would be a good read.
I have no idea. I know he co-wrote it with a good friend of his who's I can't remember. He's an academic. I can't remember what his profession is, but he's an atheist, and so they agree on everything about the fine tuning up to the point that there's a fine tuner, and so I think he co-wrote it with that person. And then at the end, once they've established, at least in their eyes, that the universe is finely tuned, they both provide their own defenses for Luke provides his defense for some sort of fine tuner, and his friend provides another.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you could make a better argument for why the universe is finely tuned to make black holes rather than life, because it seems to be much more efficient in making black holes than living things.
Yeah, you could say the universe is finely tuned for pretty much anything that exists within it, because it's going to require parameters that our universe has. So to say that the universe is finely tuned for anything doesn't seem to make sense. Regardless of whatever structure you had for any physical reality, there are going to be structures in it that depend on an extraordinarily large number of the fundamental parameters, quote unquote, governing that universe, and it's going to depend on an extraordinarily precise range of all of those parameters. So it makes no sense to speak of something being fine-tuned. And another problem with that is the term, to me, sort of seems to contain the idea of an intention.
Yeah.
When you say that something is fine-tuned, what you mean is it's adjusted or specified to give rise to some particular outcome, which I would argue intrinsically means there's some sort of intention behind it. So I wouldn't say that the argument is circular, at least prima facie, but I would argue the fine-tuning arguments are very much, to me, affirming the consequent.
It's basically begs the question of theology, right? Like it assumes it assumes the conclusion that there is some intent behind the parameters of the universe.
And I would say it's affirming the consequent.
Oh yeah, affirming the consequent, yeah. Or maybe circular reasoning, back in the question.
Well, affirming the consequent is a specified type of circular reasoning.
All right.
Stephanie is trying to describe the Big Bang for us in the chat here, and I don't think so, Stephanie. I don't think you got it quite right there. We just had to invent dark matter. I don't think it was just invented.
No. It wasn't invented.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I came in here to talk about dark energy, but I guess I can talk about dark matter.
Talk about whatever you think.
70% is dark energy, right? Like I think she has the moment confused.
Oh yeah. Did you say 70% the mass energy or 70% of the matter? Because that's a big difference.
I think the vast majority is dark energy, and then comes dark matter, and then comes the ordinary matter, right?
Yes.
Yes.
In terms of the total mass energy density of the universe, yes.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, like both of these amount together, it makes the universe almost, or maybe even perfectly flat, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the reason that the universe is almost perfectly flat would be because of inflation.
Right. Or if you, like Peter is now showing the video of Bill Nye with Ken Ham walking, and at some point you see Arnold like in the background, and then for one moment you can see Ken Ham noticing Arn next to him. it's I don't know when it will happen, but it's really funny to see. Yeah.
I think the funniest thing in this video was at the end, where the children are much more interested in what Bill Nye has to say than what Ken Ham has to say, and he gets really annoyed and doesn't know how to entertain kids. That last part is brilliant.
Well, Ken Ham needs to have some balloon animal skills, of course.
Something like that, yes. He has no clue how to interact with children, while Bill Nye is teaching them how to take selfies and why you should take selfies that way, because then you won't have the phone shake and it's easy to. So
there are some things that I have problems with Bill Nye, but I think he is a very good science communicator.
When it comes to children, yes.
Yeah,
he really interacted with a lot of the kids that were there. Now you can see Anra in the front.
There he is. Exactly. Just photobombing. Let's see. When does he notice him? Let's see. You can see the instant. And hold on, where is it?
Ken Ham was probably like, I feel a disturbance in the force.
Yeah. Like his chills down his spine. Let's see here. Chills down his spine. Where is it? Like I can see him glancing for 1 second at almost. There it is.
There's this big biker. What is he doing here?
At this point that Ken Ham has realized that Aaron Ra is present. This has obviously disturbed Ken Ham. We can see it in his facial expressions. I'm pulling my best David Attenborough. You can see
him look over every single time Arn gets close.
Why is there a state patrol following them?
Just
I don't think that's a state patrol. I think that is part of the.
That's a state patrol.
Yeah,
that's definitely a state patrol. Yeah, that's gotta be. Or at least
like an honest to God cop.
Oh, there's the big guy again. Oh, he's coming close.
There's the sheer terror in his eyes there. See, right? It's really funny.
So, whose channel is this on, by the way?
Let me check. Answers in Genesis.
Oh, am I going to get a strike for this shit?
I don't think so, because everything Paulogia has done is showing video from Answers in Genesis. So I don't think so.
Okay.
Also, the whole thing is up somewhere else. Bill Nye uploaded it as well.
Yeah, this is on tons and tons of channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find this everywhere.
Yeah. Big guy's still there. You can see him glancing over every single time.
I see that Atheist Junior is in the side chat. He should hop in because he had some questions about some space stuff too, and so.
What does he look so?
I guess him and Andrew can like just take their questions and smother me to death and just like fuck me up if they want.
What does it look like? They're marching Ken Ham to a fucking to his hanging.
Shame.
It's
shame.
Setting of the
shame.
boat. See, Anra was walking next to him all the time.
All the time, yeah. All the time next to him.
Oh my god.
And now we come to the non-climax, which is the door. The single thing that Ken Ham is so proud about, that's the door. The door God closed. That he didn't close because it's not the real Ark. And he didn't close it on the real Ark because that never happened. Yeah, he's so proud.
Great.
And all the Amish people who he doesn't consider to be Christians built that thing. Keep that in mind.
Oh, did the Amish build the Ark?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that didn't know.
With steel braces that Noah didn't have.
Why is that cop following them? I don't.
Security.
I know for a fact that there are cops on the premises to kick people off the premises because several atheists have done a tour on the Ark and everyone is filming.
Well, maybe
the moment they notice that it's
Bill and Ken are high-profile individuals as well. I mean, this is a contentious.
I wasn't really finished yet, Leo. I wasn't finished. I was still talking.
Don't interrupt the Dutchman.
Oh shit! Somehow our thing went away.
Yeah, but there seems to be a double standard. So Christians can actually film everything, but if they notice that you're an atheist, you're first of all going to be told that you need to erase all footage that you've shot inside the Ark. And if you then say, "Well, I'm live streaming, so it's gone straight to YouTube," then you're going to be kicked off the premises by a cop.
How do they get cops to do that work for them?
I have no clue, but it's Kentucky, so I'm not even surprised. So.
Yeah, they think Ken Ham's the good guy in all this. So
yeah,
are you sure he isn't court ordered to follow Ken Ham around?
Well, I mean, it's also private property, so it'd be no different than if you asked somebody to leave your house, and the cops came and escorted them off. Because
but that'd be like if I called the cops and I had the cops present in my house all the time, just in case I wanted somebody thrown out. Right? You think the cops would come and hang out in my house and wait for me?
Here we see an Amish paleontologist who's obviously really disturbed by all the attention and the modern equipment and needs to run off quickly. You can see him in the background. Fucking idiots with that technology. Look.
Or do we want to go back to Leo about the dark metal?
Yes.
Do I need to turn off the video so everyone can start paying attention again?
Yeah. All right, Leo, explain the Big Bang for me now. So the Big Bang started off, right? You had basically at the beginning was what? Helium and what? Lithium, hydrogen, helium.
Well, you have something else before that too, I think, or like before the atoms and nuclear.
There had to be a man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Leo.
So what's before? So when you started off with that was what basically the beginning of the expansion right there, and then that's what coalesced into stars, and then started creating all the other matter and all the other things, right? So explain that a little better for me. What's before that? Like,
David, you should get a little bit more distance between you and the mic. You're clipping out.
Oh yeah, also yeah. I think Leo is AFK for the moment because he doesn't seem to respond.
I thought it was just me.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Leo.
Oh,
maybe he's just AFK for the moment. It's also maybe.
Am I clipping also?
No, I don't see. I don't hear you clipping.
Nope.
How's that? A little better? I moved the mic away a little bit.
It's a bit better.
Okay.
I don't think it's more about the how do you call it, the pop filter effect. Oh, that was Leo.
Okay, so you ready, Leo?
Ready for what?
Oh, you weren't listening.
No, I'm not. I need to go grab a beer. Give me like 30 seconds. Make that like 20.
He needs to get wasted when he talks about the Big Bang. That's better. Way better. But yeah, I think there were other periods before when you had before you had the helium and the hydrogen.
Right.
You had all the periods before that, but because I also not very well versed. I know some of the very basics, like you have the first period, or the first theoretical period is the Planck epoch, which is basically the first 10 to the minus 42 seconds.
Yeah.
A very small period of time, but and we basically know nothing about what happened during that time. It's hypothesized that every fundamental force may be unified, but of course we don't know anything how to even describe that. But yeah.
And Leslie, you have to say Planck time because
Planck.
Yes. No. Say it in Dutch because otherwise Leo is going to blow a gasket. If you say Planck time,
well, it's not pronounced Planck. It's Planck. His name was Max Planck.
Planck.
I just said that.
Yeah,
I know.
Really. Yeah. Sorry, Leo.
Yeah, I saw a meme. I saw a meme that showed Max Planck like laying flat, and it was like planky. Like that was a joke, but I know it's not pronounced like that, but I guess for the sake of the meme, they pronounce it like that. But I've even heard King Crocoduck in his video, like the duality of light, which is a great video. It's 2 videos. He pronounces it both ways in that video, so I don't know, but it's Planck.
It's definitely Planck.
Planck. Also,
just like people say Minkowski space-time, it's not Minkowski space-time, it's Minkowski space-time.
Minkowski.
So are you going to... is Leo going to explain Hawking radiation to me now? Or
I can.
Do we have a different topic?
You'll have to defer to Andrew. It's up to him whether we do dark energy first or black hole thermodynamics first.
Or Big Bang first.
I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to derail. You know?
Right? Yeah. No. We got you. That's why I said it's just a matter of deferring to Andrew. I'm gonna go to him. He makes the decision.
I don't like this.
Well, make a decision. There's nothing wrong with saying I'd rather discuss dark energy first. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's what you want to talk about first. That's what we can talk about first.
What do you want to talk about next?
I'm like the Tamatoa from Moana. Pick one.
I was gonna show something related to the dark energy stuff, and then we can move on to Hawking radiation.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. There we go. Let me know when you can see it.
Evotard is mad at me.
Who's Evotard?
Is Evotard a stock account? Is that a stock account for somebody else?
I'm not sure who it is actually, but he's mad at me for not attacking the Rage.
No. Oh, Leo, you missed me. I was in Raging Atheist stream, but I left before you got there yesterday.
Yeah, when I turned the stream on, I saw Immutable in there. I saw Khalil Allah in there, and I was like, "Oh, this has got to be really." Lisa was in there, and then obviously John and Knock were in there, and there's a couple others. And I was like, "Ooh, I bet this is an interesting." So I hopped in. He hasn't done a live stream in forever, and it was all good for like the first hour that I was in there. But as that stream progressed, or rather devolved, it got really bad. It got really, really bad.
Yeah, Evo
then because we.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
We were holding Tom to account for him hanging out in streams with Smokey and Will Kincaid, and I asked him a question about, do you think it's okay the stuff Will Kincaid said, and he folded faster than Superman on laundry day. Couldn't answer.
Yeah. Evo Todd. This guy Evo Todd that's in our side chat was in there, and he was kind of battling with John and rage. He had some very unpleasant things to say.
I
so.
do think
I don't-
Andrew is waiting for his screen to be shared, just to throw that out there.
Yeah, we're waiting for you, Andrew. We're just trying to fill air
I
here.
was trying to share my screen.
Yeah, it says a rational empiricist entered the back room like his screen was being shared. We're just waiting for one of the hosts to present it for us on the screen. There we go.
Okay. Here we go.
I actually didn't realize I had that power.
Okay. So this is
what does this show? The temperature across time, or?
No, this is well, I know it's called an angular power spectrum. Don't ask me what that means exactly. But this is basically a measure of the scale of the temperature fluctuations inherent in the cosmic microwave background. And over here doesn't really tell you much. Over here doesn't really tell you much. But these free peaks in particular are very important for cosmologists because they okay, so let me go in order. So this one, the first peak, is at an angular scale of about 1 degree, and that is what you would expect if the universe were the known universe were geometrically flat. Okay, so that means not flat like a sheet of paper, but flat in terms
geometrically flat.
Right. Parallel lines say parallel angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, etc.
So the angular scale is basically saying like, oh, if you look in the sky and you look at basically a circle of view with an angle the size of 1, and you look at that, then the average
angular scale is just essentially
the field of view.
I really don't want to use the word curvature, but I'm going to use it. The curvature because that makes it sound like general relativity. But I guess you could say the intrinsic structure of space-time and whether or not there is some deviation from flat. I don't want to use the word curvature. That's not the right word, and I can't think of the right word.
I was mistaken. I thought the angular scale meant like if you look in the sky and you see the field of view, the size of your field of view. Like
I think in this context at least, Nestleg is more closer to what this is trying to show.
Oh really? Oh.
Well, the way that I've had
take that, Leo. Take that. No.
The way that I've had it explained to me is like if you talking about like something the space-time being geometrically flat is like a flat sheet of graph paper where if you drew a triangle on it, it would look like a normal triangle. And then if you take a basketball with positive curvature and draw a triangle on that, the edges splay outwards. And then if you had like a saddle-shaped object and you draw a triangle on there with negative curvature, the sides would invert.
It does say in the second paragraph, it says the first peak at roughly 1 angular degree, which is twice the size of the full moon as we see it in the sky. So if you look up in the sky and you see a spot twice the size of the full moon, then that region means that the temperature fluctuation across regions whose diameter is around 1 angular degree make a relatively big contribution to the overall variability. Oh, all right.
So 1 degree is, like I said, 1 degree of angular scale is what we would expect for this first peak if the universe is geometrically flat. So that tells us that the total mass energy content of the universe must pretty much equal the critical density needed for it to be geometrically flat. And that gets back to general relativity and space-time curvature. So that's the first peak. The second peak has to do with the scale of so rather than thinking of these temperature fluctuations in the CMB as static, like they're just there, it's better to think of them as kind of more like what they're called acoustic oscillations, which basically means they're sound waves, because the universe was so hot and dense at that time that atoms were moving around, and as the atoms were collapsing into slowly collapsing into denser regions, or denser than average regions, they kind of rebounded back slowly over thousands of years to form these
pressure waves.
Yeah, pressure waves until they were basically frozen at that point when the light was released in the form of the CMB.
These acoustic waves, was it like when before the recombination, like when everything was plasma,
yes.
Right.
They were the pressure waves that resulted from density perturbations in the plasmaic state of the early universe.
Right.
And when when during the period of recombination, when photons decoupled, the structure of those pressure waves at that time, at the instant of recombination, they would have been imprinted on that light that was free streaming through the vacuum of space for the first time.
So basically, the light conserves the information that was in the acoustic waves within the plasma before.
And we can also see it in the large-scale structure of the universe as well.
Right. So what this tells you, and I forget exactly how it tells you this. I'm not an expert on acoustic oscillations by any means, but basically, no.
Oh.
Basically, what the second peak tells you is the amount or the contribution of baryonic matter, that is matter made of protons and neutrons. So basically atoms.
Quarks,
and that basically tells you, because you can model how these acoustic waves would have rebounded and then collapsed again and rebounded, and how many times that would have occurred based on the amount of matter in the universe. So the second peak tells you that the baryonic matter contribution is about 4.9%, I believe, according to the Planck satellite data. And then finally, the third peak tells you the contribution of dark matter, which that one I'm not sure on either. But basically, when you take 4.9% baryonic matter, about 26.8% dark matter, that means that the rest has to be from dark energy. So that would be roughly 68% or so.
Why is dark matter smaller than the baryonic matter? I thought the dark matter is more dark matter.
It's not.
No, I meant baryonic matter or ordinary quote unquote matter is
third peak.
No, the second peak is baryonic matter. The third peak is dark matter. So 4.9% baryonic matter, 27 or so percent dark matter, and then the rest is dark energy.
I thought maybe the angular scale also says the amount, but it's not correlated with the amount. That's what I was mistaken.
Don't ask me how it correlates to that.
Yeah.
So Andrew, do you have a link to this document?
Wait,
sure.
so this is just temperature fluctuations. Okay, never mind.
Oh, what? Oops, I'm sorry.
Sorry. It happens, Leo. It's nothing personal.
All right, I put in the private chat from Plus Maths.
Got it.
I also had a question about the graph. Like you could see the acoustic waves of the plasma. But I was wondering, could you also, in theory, detect the gravitational waves within the plasma?
There have been attempts at that. I don't know what they found on that, but I think that's one of the ways they've tried to test inflation, I believe. Because I think
I would suspect that the gravitational waves would be very, or even gravity is of course a very weak force, and it would be very difficult to detect the difference among the noise. Yeah.
It's weak compared to the other forces of the universe, definitely.
Right. I also found out recently that there's also indirect evidence for a cosmic neutrino background.
Yes. There probably is one.
And that one is, of course, a bit further away than the normal cosmic background, right? Because the neutrinos are more fully able to go through the plasma before the recombination.
In comparison to the cosmic microwave background, which was released about 380,000 years after time zero, the cosmic neutrino background would have been released at most a few seconds after time zero. So it would be farther away at this point.
About time zero, I don't know, so, like some people might think that time zero is the absolute like creation of everything, but I don't know if but I don't know if it may be like a maybe it's something else that defines time equals zero. Do you know more about Leo?
You could say after the Planck epoch.
As far as I'm aware, time zero is basically a placeholder because the Big Bang model is based on our current understanding of general relativity, and we know general relativity is incomplete. So it's basically saying if you extrapolate general relativity all the way back to the singularity, that is time zero. That makes the model particularly simple to understand.
So time zero is basically when your equations gives infinite numbers, and that's
it's when the equations start to break down in a sense.
Yeah, and it does not mean the universe was created at that moment.
No, not necessarily. It might have been, but we just don't know.
Yeah. So there might be a good clarification to make, because of course, if you think, time equals zero, the universe began at that moment. But, not necessarily.
See, when we talk about whether there's an absolute earliest moment and what that means, perhaps in more philosophical or even theological frameworks, it really doesn't mean much. I mean, it depends on your interpretation. I would personally take that there is an absolute earliest point in space-time, passed away, something similar to how Graham Oppie looks at it, that there was some necessary initial natural state from which everything that we know and understand and are came from. It evolved from, but that state is just, that state in the whole universe sort of exists as this block that's just there. As Carl Sagan once famously said, the universe just is, and that's all.
Yeah, they basically
confused theists noises.
And that's how I look at the fine tuning thing. Those things they just are. That's how they have to be.
Yeah, the constants and parameters are nomological. Yes.
Yeah,
it's sort of saying that they exist.
If they weren't if they weren't that, they would be something else. Like,
is it like the thing like water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius? So, or am I maybe not doing a proper analogy to the constant of the universe? Well,
yeah, because you can't really get to absolute zero, so I think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
But Otangelo was trying to make the fine-tuning argument to me recently, and I asked him, well, if the universe is fine-tuned, then why is the expansion rate of the universe increasing? And he didn't really have a good answer for it.
You really want to know what you got to say to Otangelo when he tries to run the fine-tuning argument? Ask him one question. Say, Otangelo, is it physically impossible for the natural world to develop life of its own mechanisms? To which he will answer yes, because that's what he believes. So then ask him, so how is the universe that can't create life at all finely tuned for the thing it can't create?
Well, play
I guess he would say that you have to have God to create life. I guess he would say.
I think
and then the question means is that, well, then God could create life in any universe. So in what sense is the universe finely tuned?
Yeah, that might be a good counter response, because
see, with people like Otangelo, people who hold to the idea that the universe is finely tuned and that it's at least physically impossible for life to develop in the universe naturally, those I wouldn't say that they're mutually exclusive, but I think one is very hard pressed to reconcile those two beliefs. I don't see how one could hold both of them at the same time.
Leo, I can play devil's advocate for Leo by saying that the universe wasn't finely tuned for the creation of life; it was finely tuned to sustain life, and God created life.
Well, but then, I mean, if God put life in the universe, then he could create life to be sustained in any universe.
I know.
So at what sense is the universe finely tuned?
Yeah, that's a good counter response to that, yeah. I would say at least, but yeah. I'm just saying you have to be careful too when you make the argument that if the universe is not finely tuned to create life, then it's not finely tuned. But of course, then you can just say, it was finely tuned to sustain life, not to create life. But yeah, that's the only difference I want to clarify.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
If if it's finely tuned to sustain life, why is it that just until recently did we have long lifespans, where before so many people died in childbirth and so many people lived short and miserable lives? Like, that doesn't sound like sustaining life to me.
Oh yeah, the universe was finely tuned to sustain life in order to and life exists in order to finely tune its own environment to sustain itself for a longer time. So yeah, we have to figure out how to finely tune our environment for our own benefit, apparently. Yeah.
Atheist Junior, as far as your response, a typical creationist response would be, well, they lived long lives before the flood, but after the flood, things went downhill. So
yeah, and they were 9 feet tall, and they could run 50 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And they have huge dicks. I mean, I'm assuming if you're 9 feet tall, you would have
Big
to be
hands.
proportionally. I don't know. These are the things I think about.
Yeah. Or maybe we can go back to like the Big Bang, or maybe I saw something more to talk about the temperature fluctuation graph. Like, Leo want to say something before the?
Well, no, I was just going to say that it's just the graph seems to be temperature fluctuations in the CMB as a function of angular scale and potentially, I guess, multipole moment as well. Unless multipole moment is there just as a secondary measuring tool, I don't really know.
Well, I'm more of a biology person, but I'm of course a bit interested in the cosmology aspect too. But I'm a bit confused about the earlier moments. Like, first you had like before the inflation, even you have more of energy, and then later you have photons, and the photons produce the first matter in
the photon epoch was one of the last epochs. The first epoch that we know of in the universe's evolution would have been the inflationary epoch.
All right.
Goes the inflationary epoch, the electroweak epoch, the quark epoch, the hadron epoch, the lepton epoch, the photon epoch.
But I was more like asking about like what happened to the the matter and energy. Like, first you had energy, and the energy produced photons. Like, I was wondering how it produced photons.
Well, the photons were produced from the decay of leptons at the end of the lepton epoch, going into the photon epoch.
And where did the leptons come from?
From the decay of hadrons at the end of the hadron epoch, going into the lepton epoch.
And the hadrons? Sorry,
the hadrons would have came from the combination of quarks as the energy dropped, so the quark gluon plasma no longer existed, and quarks were thereby confined to by their charge, something called color confinement, to form hadrons.
And the quarks. Sorry, I'm doing the and what about that? Sorry, but I'm just curious to what happens to the quarks before that.
They would have just existed in a quark gluon plasma. The universe was too energetic to allow quarks to actually bind.
I thought like even before that you had photons that underwent pair production. Like, you have like one photon.
Photons wouldn't have existed at this time.
No?
Photons didn't exist really until the photon. Well, I guess they would have existed minorly during this point, but I don't know how many of them there would have been.
I like, if maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought before you had like quarks and such, you had photons, and photons underwent a pair production. You have like one photon, which basically produced one matter and one antiparticle, and then somehow you had
the photon is its own antiparticle.
Yeah, I know, but photon, like at high enough energy, photons can undergo pair production. It produces one particle and one antiparticle, and then
they can transition to an electron-positron pair, but there is no such thing as an antiphoton. The photon is its own antiparticle.
I know, but I was wondering, like, during that time when photons turned into particle and antiparticle pairs, and
they didn't.
No,
I don't think so.
Because I've seen pretty much. Okay, can you maybe who's screen sharing right now?
What?
Who is
Speed's doing stuff.
Okay. Can somebody to the one who is screen sharing? Can you look up the history of everything for me real quick? Maybe you can like pull up a video, history of everything. Or maybe he doesn't. He is not listening to what I'm saying. Or maybe I can.
I'm waiting for you to screen share.
Maybe I can look it up.
Are you gonna do all the work around here? What the fuck, guys?
Are you screen sharing, Speed?
Yeah, but you can screen share and it'll just overwrite me.
I cannot give sound to my end. So can you look up a history of everything real quick?
Why?
Because I want to have some visuals and some explanation to explain what I'm describing.
Oh, you can't screen share?
Yeah, but I cannot send sound through my end.
You can't.
It will be silent.
Okay, history of everything. I've got apps on Google Play. What?
No, on YouTube. I mean, just on YouTube.
Okay, am I gonna get a copyright strike for this?
Okay. I will just.
Is it a video?
It's a video, yes.
Who posted it?
I think it's Minute Physics.
Oh, a brief history of everything with Tyson.
Yes. So he describes like photons and then they produce anti-particle pairs. And
they produce electron-positron pairs. The energy inside of the electromagnetic field can transfer to the electron field and back. But there isn't like a photon and an antiphoton.
No.
The photon is the antiphoton.
No. I'm not saying that there is an antiphoton. I'm just saying like before you had the way you have ordinary matter is because for some reason the pair production ended up creating more normal particles as opposed to antiparticles.
We don't really know why baryon asymmetry is the case. The most likely explanation has something to do with neutrino oscillation. The way the differences in the ways that neutrinos oscillate between their three flavors and antineutrinos oscillate between their three flavors, and how interactions, how minimal they are, though they would have been significantly more in the early universe because of how energetic it was, likely played a part in the production of matter or the slight dominance of matter over antimatter. But we don't really know for sure.
But in any case, this event when photons produced particles and antiparticles happened before there were quarks, right?
I can't see why not.
Well, all right.
So this would have been after the electroweak epoch, which is where the electroweak symmetry breaking would have occurred, and you would have gotten weak interactions and then electromagnetism. So you would have had the electric field or the electromagnetic field. I would imagine the electric or the electron field would have existed. So yeah, it could have been enough energy that photons were rapidly, switching between photons and electron-positron pairs.
Yeah, and then like after this production of positron and electron pairs, and then for some reason you have more normal matter, and that normal matter became the quarks after that in the quark epoch, right?
Yes.
All right. So I was correct. So about it, sorry. All right. But how did when you had an excess amount of electrons, how did the electrons give rise to the quarks?
I don't know if it was electrons that gave rise to quarks. Quarks would have come from the quark field, so they would have just sort of been there once once strong interactions would have decoupled from electroweak interactions. You would have probably had quarks and gluons flying around. They just were in a plasmic state. They couldn't bind together to form any structure.
So the asymmetry between the positron and the electron production from photons, that is not where the quarks came from. The quarks came from something.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I've heard about the way how you have antimatter and normal matter, and then somehow there was more normal matter, but then the quarks came from something else than the asymmetry between the antimatter and normal matter. Or was there also similar things going on with the quarks, with the anti-matter normal matter quarks too.
I honestly I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows answers to those kind of questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's difficult to without some visuals to go into the details. But I'm just wondering, like you have like these particles, and I'm just wondering, like, oh, where did they come from? Like, did they come from?
Ultimately, they came from their fields, their corresponding fields, and the behavior of these fields with themselves and with each other would have been quite different in the very early universe, given the extraordinarily high energy levels.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the energy of the early universe eventually became the disturbances in the field, and that disturbance in the field are the particles themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Isn't particle physics fun?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
So, is AJ still here?
I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, AJ's here.
He's right over there to your right.
I think he's AFK.
Oh, he may be.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be back. Just gotta wait.
He may be visiting the powder room.
Yeah, I said I'll be right back.
But in the early universe, you had positons and electrons, but you also have like quarks and anti-quarks too.
Yes.
All right. But again, for both the groups, like the leptons, the electrons won out, and in the quarks, the normal quarks won out for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Did both groups, like the leptons and the quarks, won out for the same reason or for different reasons, or we don't know which?
We don't, probably for similar reasons, but you know, we're not fully sure. It could have been different reasons.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having some cereal in the other room.
It's maybe an example of like symmetry break. It is an example of symmetry breaking because you have no longer any symmetry anymore. But of course, it's very interesting to see symmetry breaking at such a fundamental level. Like we see symmetry breaking with the formation of ice, you know, like with phase transitions. To see how phase transitions go basically all the way back to the most fundamental particle physics. It's like it's like I really like the analogy that Eric Smith uses. Like you have basically a series of ceilings and floors and ceilings, and each floor and ceiling is separated by a phase transition that gives rise to a whole new order of matter. And he proposed that the similar phase transitions gave rise to life. So if life is a way of a phase transition, or maybe a series of phase transitions that gave rise to life.
Ines, like, are you sure you don't want to be a particle physicist?
I know.
with the questions that you're asking, are you?
Yeah,
sure?
I'm sorry. I'm just a very.
Nothing wrong with curiosity, my friend.
Very curious. Yeah, I'm an autodidact. I spend my my very large amount of time to research these things. I'm very interested in.
Yeah, but I have noticed you do have a pretty thorough understanding of physics and various concepts in physics. So I'm glad to see that, because we need more people like that around here in the atheist community on YouTube.
I'm like my master's in plant biotechnology, so I'm not really, it's the last time I studied physics was in high school, and we never touched upon Big Bang. We only did like Newtonian mechanics. Damn it, only Newtonian mechanics. And maybe some like electricity stuff, but yeah, nothing much else. In fact, I remember one time we were handed out a pamphlet about a proposal of putting some extra stuff in the curriculum of physics, and it talked about like the redshift and such, but eventually it was just scrapped for no reason given. Like I was really disappointed when I heard that. Like, the only student who was disappointed that we didn't get redshift explained in the class. But yeah.
Oh, we got a response from Otangawhat.
Oh, really? Me?
Yeah.
On what?
Well, I sent him an email and I said, to be fair, could you explain where you got that quote?
I just see 7 minutes ago. Right. You claimed that speech stream that mutations do not require to fix in a population in order for evolution to occur. Yes, it does. It doesn't have to be fixed in order for evolution to occur. And for that reason, for that reason, the quote in the. Oh, I can maybe just screen share the.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hello.
It sounds like a threat.
I mean, I just said hello.
Yeah, hello. Sounds like a threat.
Not you. The email.
Hello.
The email sounds like a threat.
Ooh, Inspiring Philosophy has a premiere coming up in 30 minutes on Is Mind or Matter Fundamental? That would be
For
matter.
fuck's sake.
He's a subjective idealist. What do you expect?
I really dislike the guy because a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, I actually responded to one of his. Go ahead.
Okay, you screen share me, Speed?
No, I want to talk about my email first.
Well, I thought I was. Never mind.
Okay, that is your eternal. He's worried about my eternal. No, I should worry about my eternal destiny. He's not going to answer the question about where he got the quote, because I asked him. I said, to be fair, okay, and give you a chance to show your sources. Basically, I wanted him to, answer that, and he didn't. Anyway, okay. Now we're back. We're back to the discussion. Go ahead. Screen shared.
I'm not screen sharing my.
So why is this an iPad?
Wait a minute. What is that?
Because it's
an
iPad.
Nestle.
There it is. So he is saying here, you claimed that speech stream that mutations require to fix in the population in order for life to occur. That's correct. And for that reason, the quote in this paper supposedly does nothing of the sort that I claim it does. Yes, indeed, the paper says that in this instance, mutations were not fixed in the population. So yeah. Okay, once you can set a paper that clearly states that mutations do not require to fix in the population that organisms change, I grant your criticism.
Why would they have to fix in the population?
No, because evolution is in a change in allele frequency. So even if they aren't fixed, you still have allele frequency changes. So yeah,
they do fix, but not often, but not always right away. They showed that it takes longer in a sexual species for.
That's one of the proposed explanations they gave. Like they gave one reason of it takes longer time in sexual populations to become fixed. Or they also gave other reasons, like for example, the way how selection selects standing variation, or how selection coefficients change over time. Like first, the selection coefficient is large, but over time it becomes smaller. It's also a reason. But yeah, it's not. Otangawhat is just wrong that alleles don't have to be fixed, because some alleles can just stay unfixed for a very long time. Like for example, there are actually alleles that we have in our population that are not fixed. Like some individuals have these alleles, but others are not. And these alleles are the same alleles that some chimpanzees have too, which are not fixed in their population. So basically, some alleles that we have are more closely related to their alleles, and that's an example of incomplete lineage sorting. So no, Otangawhat is just wrong that alleles don't have to be fixed. They don't have to be fixed.
But for species to change morphologically, they would have to at some point fix.
Of course, there are many instances of alleles being fixed, but if he's arguing that this paper shows that no allele can be fixed, it doesn't say that alleles cannot be fixed. It just says that in this particular instance, they observe alleles are not fixed, but it doesn't mean that no allele can be fixed. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So much for Otangawhat.
Are we shooting it in the head yet, or what are we doing?
Pretty quick.
What? So can I do what I've been meaning to do for the last 20 minutes now?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Explain a very complex concept to a friend of mine who asked me to, because I couldn't do it through typing.
You have a friend?
Wow.
I find that really hard to believe.
God damn it, Leo.
We're skeptics. We need to see.
We're skeptics,
some
yeah.
evidence.
I guess.
Are you guys skeptics?
We're skeptics.
Skeptic is another word for asshole.
I mean, are you drawing electromagnetism in light?
No.
It's a sine wave.
Well, no, I get that, but
Could be a
Leo.
cosine.
Leo, if you want to find out in an hour and 15 minutes, tune in to my channel and see whether or not I'm a skeptic.
Let me draw that a little bit darker.
We're going to do a show that will spread across 3 continents.
So
Really?
this is essentially a quantum field in vacuum, as it's called. The white represents the quantum field in vacuum. It's a slight hovering around zero of both the red here, which would be the antiparticle aspect of the field, and the blue part, which would be the particle aspect of the field. And they don't fully cancel each other out because the field is in vacuum hovering somewhere around zero in both the positive and the negative numbers.
so matter and antimatter don't.
What happens when you get a quantum field in space-time that is in a very, 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 very extremely curved space-time, you get something along the lines, if I can get my colors right, you would get pinching, so to speak. The curvature, the gravity, so to speak, will pinch space-time and will thereby pinch the quantum fields. And that will change the types of frequencies that can exist in those pinched regions, which can add energy to that quantum field by changing the phase of those wave functions defining the field in vacuum. And
So
what that does is we will recognize those as particles. And those particles can move in space-time, and their energy has to come from somewhere. The energy the quantum field is getting has to come from somewhere. So it's going to come from whatever is curving the space-time those quantum fields are in, which would be the black hole. So let me get rid of all of this. We have a black hole. I'm going to outline it just in white. And you have sort of a, let's go with a yellow here. You have sort of a field around this black hole of a bunch of particles and sometimes antiparticles that exist because the black hole is adding energy to the quantum field. So the explanation of that there's particles popping in and out of existence isn't really what quantum fields do, and the idea that one of them gets pulled into the black hole and the other one escapes and thereby it pulls mass out of the black hole also isn't really accurate. If you curve space-time enough and you have quantum fields in that space-time, the object that's curving the space-time will stress the fields as much as it does to space-time, which will add energy to them and create particle-antiparticle pairs, and that energy has to come from somewhere. Conservation of energy should not be violated, and it comes from the black hole. And so eventually, over time, the black hole shrinks and shrinks, and it reaches some diameter where what happens is it just evaporates in a flash of light. And so that is what Hawking radiation is.
Okay, so how do you get past the information paradox?
The black hole, the mass of a black hole, or the curvature in space-time isn't infinite.
I've heard that some people say that since you can never see anything actually travel into the black hole, since it just sort of freezes at the event horizon, that the information is still maintained in our side of the universe, basically.
Potentially.
Yeah, I've heard I've heard that the information is contained on the surface like a hologram.
Well, that's the holographic principle, which is pretty meritorious, but we haven't confirmed it quite yet.
All right.
I mean, from what I from what I hear, there's a way to explain, or I guess not explain. I guess to get around. No, hold on, sorry. To get around the information paradox. Like what happens to the information once it goes in? I remember reading that it could either go into another another universe, within within the black hole, or another area of the universe. Which, if that's the case, if that's the case, our universe could be inside the event horizon, could be inside the event horizon of a black hole. Therefore, showing that the holographic theory is right. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but I'm going off memory.
So the thing with the information paradox is, we now know it's not actually a paradox. Information does escape black holes. We just don't know how. We know that information escapes black holes because we know black holes don't actually contain singularities, because we know singularities don't actually exist. They're more a fault with our mathematics than they are anything else. And that's the question, is we don't know how. We know the information is not destroyed, we just don't know how it gets out, so to speak, of the black hole. Hawking radiation could play into that, but I wanted to sort of clarify what Hawking radiation is, because I think this is a really good way of putting it. The stress that a black hole stresses space-time, which in turn stresses the quantum field, such that you add energy to it, and this creates sort of a thermal bath around the black hole that sucks energy out of it as that thermal bath radiates into the vacuum of space, and so the black hole eventually shrinks over time.
Yeah, and it accelerates, right? Like the smaller it gets, the more radiation it gives off, and eventually you have like a flash of light in a very distant.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Because the larger it is, the larger the surface area, the slower the radiative process, I guess you could say.
Yeah. How much energy would the black hole give off at the final moment of its life?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Would it be bigger than a supernova or smaller than a supernova?
I don't know. I can't say that anybody knows, but I don't know if anybody knows. I don't know anything about that.
Of course, we never will observe such a thing, because it will be probably longer than our species.
It will be longer than our Google years before the largest black holes evaporate completely.
Or the smallest.
I think LIGO detected two black holes colliding with each other.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but yeah, I don't know.
No.
Similar.
We've detected
scenario.
many black holes. Actually, that reminds me. There's a really cool. Yep, there's a really cool animation.
Oh yeah.
I posted a comment that.
I remember like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about a paper that describes the way black holes merge, and it says that if you follow a path through the merging black holes, then you will end up backwards in time, basically. And that's how strange the curvature of space-time.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
If you follow a certain path. Like maybe when the black holes merge, if you follow a certain path around the merging black holes, they will end up at the same position, but back in time, in the past. Basically, you travel backwards in time. But I don't know, maybe
Not literally. It's more that two events can be recognized to happen at two different points in time.
Oh, yeah.
As a result of obviously special relativity.
Yeah.
I'm sharing my screen, by the way.
It's basically like I think if I remember correctly, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to a child in a conference room, and he talks about the paper, and he has no idea what it even says, because it's beyond his comprehension, and it talks about the very extreme curvatures in space-time, where time becomes really
this GIF is a two-dimensional representation of what in spiraling and merging black holes do to space-time.
I would really like to see a three-dimensional representation of this.
I don't know if I can find one.
That actually looks 3D to me.
No, it's not, because if you notice the grid pattern, the coordinate space is only two-dimensional there. See, it's not three-dimensional.
I get that, but like the ripples, it's it's ripples.
Two-dimensional. Three-dimensional.
Yeah, so gravitational waves, in order for that to be really, the detectors that we have, the two LIGO detectors that are in use now, in order for them to be really useful, we're going to have to develop much more sensitive ones, or ones, because they can only detect in a certain frequency, right? They're limited in a certain.
I was just.
This is a three-dimensional representation of what gravity is. The movement inward of the lines would represent time. The curves in the lines would represent curvature in space.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you to look up exactly this GIF, because this comes from a very good YouTube channel.
Yeah, that video is incredible, isn't it?
Incredible, yeah.
Do you have a link for it?
I do not. I bet Nestle could probably find it though.
I always forget the name of the channel, but I can just look it up. But give me a second.
Link.
Can you scroll up a little bit to that image of? Go up a little bit more. I'm sure you've keep going. Keep going.
I will put it in the. Let's see. Where is the chat now? I cannot. I lost the chat. Can somebody put it in the chat for me, because I will now put it in the private chat.
Okay, I got it.
What am I looking for?
I thought I saw. You've seen the demonstration where there's it's like a blue tarp and the guy rolls these balls.
Oh, with the spandex sheet, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I swear I saw.
Yes, two-dimensionally it is.
That image on here.
I keep hearing a beep.
This was the one that I was originally looking for. So this gives you like an object moving through space-time, what it's doing to it four-dimensionally. It's curving it. It's curving its geometry.
That looks awesome.
The one I previously had up I like, because the inward movement of the lines sort of gives you a representation of the dimension of time. And that's where I would argue this one here is the most accurate depiction. That is what the Earth is doing to space-time right now. And so you can see, if you put something in it, where's it going to go? Directly toward the object.
Yeah. Because the Earth spins, would that also mean that the grid also spins slightly with the?
Yes, the Earth has very, very slight frame dragging effects.
But you wouldn't be able to see it actually in this GIF, even if you add.
Yeah, we can't detect it.
No.
We can with black holes, because they're so dense and they're rotating at 35+% the speed of light.
That's actually a question that I have had for a long time. Like, how can a black hole spin if it has no actual surface?
Well, because a black hole does have and this is one thing. I just watched a video from Nick Lucid. He runs the Science Asylum. It's one of my favorite guys on YouTube. He's got a PhD theoretical physicist. But he says black holes aren't actually objects; they're just regions in space-time. That's not true. Black holes are physical objects constituted of matter in some form. Because their mass, their density is not infinite. Now, the event horizon is the radius, is just the boundary in space-time where anything below it, the escape velocity becomes the speed of light. The actual diameter or surface of the object, so if this is where the event horizon is, the object might be right here. But this just represents any escape velocity that is at the speed of light, and anything below that or under that would be greater, and that's the event horizon.
Yeah, the event horizon is basically a kind of an illusion to us, because it's like when we see the black hole, is the blackness of the surface, quote unquote, of the event horizon is not the actual surface. It's
the event horizon. A really good way to visualize it is, imagine you're walking along something and it starts to curve downward, and then there's a point where it just drops off straight down, but you can't see what's down there. That would represent the event horizon, the point where it drops off.
I've heard another explanation of, like, if you have like a bathtub full of water and you have a drain where it's draining, and you have I don't know, it's like a goldfish or something in the water, it can swim around, but there's a certain point where if it gets close enough to that drain, all of a sudden it's not going to be able to swim fast enough to escape it, because trying to escape is the pull is too strong. And I saw a video that was really cool where they showed how in the lab they used that same concept to make analog black holes using draining water. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the best way to put it is at the event horizon of a black hole, space-time is curved so much that it curves back in onto itself. The away from direction off of a black hole no longer exists. So nothing, not even light, can move in that direction if it doesn't exist.
Yeah, any straight line within the black hole or across the event horizon will just point towards the center of the black hole. Like there is no straight line.
So it's essentially saying that even if you're pointing this way, you're actually not. You're still pointing this way toward the black hole. Sorry.
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat to that video.
And also, okay, you talked about like an object in the center of the black hole. Like I've seen somewhere a long time ago that says that perhaps there is a quark star in the center of a black hole.
Well, quark stars are hypothetical objects that would be slightly denser than neutron stars, but wouldn't quite be a black hole, where instead of neutron degenerate material, it would be quark degenerate material, primarily strange quarks. But we haven't really observed anything that we think fits that description well. The point that I was getting at is that black holes are not just some region in space-time, because you have to have mass to curve space-time. So there has to be something there that has that mass, and that's the black hole. The black hole is that physical object with the mass that's curving the space-time. It's an object. Obviously, this is a very contrived hypothetical, but hypothetically, you could touch it. I mean, there's reasons why that makes no sense to say, but ignoring, we're limited by our language, so hypothetically, you could touch a black hole. I mean, yeah, they're objects.
It would be the densest material ever, like possible.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like how dense would it be actually? Like, of course,
we don't know. We don't know what the material is.
It's not infinite density, at least.
No, and that's the reason that we know that black holes are some sort of physical object. They're not infinite in density or mass. They're an object that is made of matter in an extraordinarily exotic state, and we are what it looks like or how to describe it yet.
If we could it be like could matter be in such an extreme state such that the fundamental forces are unified in that state or not?
Potentially.
Okay, can I say something? Clarification. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't density how packed the matter is, and the mass how much matter there is?
It's mass per unit volume.
I was just thinking about it.
Like one way to think of density is how hard it is to make something accelerate.
Well, that would be inertia. That would be inertia.
Yeah.
Inertia is resistance to forces acting on that object. Density is just mass per unit volume.
Yeah. Well, inertia is related to mass, right? So
inertia classically is related to mass. At the quantum level, it gets because momentum plays into inertia as well, and this gets into how everybody asks the questions. Well, if mass and energy are the same thing, and photons are massless, how can they have energy? Because energy can be held as momentum, it can be held as mass, it can be held as thermal. There's a lot of different ways that energy can be realized.
I'm sorry.
Mass is one of those, and the thing is that when we talk about mass, we're talking about rest mass, the mass of an object that's in a rest frame of reference, a non-inertial frame of reference.
Well, I mean, sorry. Adding to that, right? It's very interesting to realize how much energy, how much energy is packed in atoms, right? Because
based on a tiny amount of mass, gives you a lot of energy.
I was getting to that. Yes. For example, like 1 gram of mass. Let's see, 1 gram. If we do energy equals times, it's got a lot of mass. Basically, 1 gram has a lot of mass. Energy. 1 gram has a lot of energy. Now, imagine converting a 250 pound, or kilogram or human or whatever fuck into energy. I don't know. I could be wrong here, but we probably have the power to blow up the planet 50 times over with how much energy humans have.
I think Let me make sure. Let me double check this. I think 1 kilogram of mass converted to energy is 9 times 10 to the 8th joules of energy. I think. You know what? Let me Google, because I guarantee you something like that's a problem set somewhere or a problem question somewhere.
Yeah, well,
I want to see if
I was
my
going.
calculations are correct.
I was going by the energy E equals MC
Yeah,
squared.
no. So was I. So was I. And if you took 1 kilogram of mass and converted it to energy, I think, if I'm right, it would be 9 times 10.8, 9 times 10 to the 8th joules of energy.
Basically, a fuckton.
So, and a joule, I think, is the energy of a kilogram moving at 1 meter per second squared, I think is what it is. So if you took something weighing 1 kilogram and moved it 1 meter per second squared, you'd have the energy of a joule.
So honestly, when you think about it, the machines had so much energy when it comes to humans and matter and energy. They just didn't know how to convert it.
Midnight. I'm going to clip this and use this on Twitter. What happened earlier? One gram of mass is a lot of mass. And I'm going to clip that and
no, I was wrong.
And
it's 9 times 10 to the 16th joules.
And I will caption this American trying.
Oh wow!
I mean, Peter, if you
I see my mistake. Wow.
America. The mass conversion is also relevant in nuclear fusion and fission, right? And then when it comes to iron, it's the most stable element, right? Because if you fuse iron, it's
the densest, it's the most energetically dense nucleus.
What the fuck is that?
I have no idea. Oh my god, this is so fucking annoying. Just so disruptive.
Peter.
I'm sorry.
Peter, it's 1/454th of a pound is what a gram is.
So I wanted to say my answer was wrong. It was 9 times 10 to the 16th joules because I forgot the square term. I squared the 3, but I didn't square the 10 to the 8. Oh fuck! I'm an idiot sometimes. Guys, yes, 1 kilogram of mass is 9 times 10 to the 16th joules of energy.
I have to drop off because I've got a show to do in about an hour, and it seems that Windows needs a new update. So, I'm as you can see, I'm already in the studio, I'm already all duffed up, so ready to go.
We're shooting this in the head.
And being a skeptic to prove Leo wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to do.
I mean, Leo's being a skeptic to your skepticism, then you're being a skeptic. I don't know, but yes,
he's just being overly skeptic.
Hey guys, we're gonna.
Alrighty, I'm out of here. Much love, everybody. Be well.
Wait, where are you going, Leo?
Watch IP's premiere.
You don't want to talk about logic. So he's running away before we can talk about his logical problem. Okay, so I'm ending, guys.
Stay curious.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye, cruel world.